All right, cyber traders, welcome on back this Wednesday morning. Of course, you could tell this is not Fausto's beautiful face. This is my ugly mug here. Got the bat signal, got the hot tag from Fausto this morning. And might I say, happy birthday to Fausto this Wednesday morning. Obviously, taking the morning off, so to say. Perhaps breakfast with the family. He will be back joining us, though, later on today, later on this morning. So I know a lot of us are kind of waiting for him live inside our trading room right now. Carrie, Brian, Andrea, Gillis, Lawrence, Lynn and Randy, Sam, Alex. Got Lawrence, Laureen, got all of us just before, Grant and Leda above. Obviously they'll be seeing Fausto in just a bit. Hope you're enjoying the morning, Fausto. And with that in mind, we've had a nice little runner here to begin, didn't we, here on the Lunar stock. So this stock is up like 57+% right now. Had a little pop overnight, didn't it? Actually a huge pop from like 550 up towards 9. Now, obviously that had to have come with some news. So let's begin by going over Lunar. We'll see what happened on the news front with the stock and, really what happened out there on level 3 and level 4 just earlier on this morning. So Lunar, Intuitive Machines trading higher after the company announced it was awarded a NASA Near Space Network contract, $4.8 billion. That's all we should care about here. $4.8 billion contract with NASA. So obviously, like any contract sounds good. Not all of them are the same, and obviously the value of them is the biggest part. So, if you see a contract for like maybe 5 million, 10 million, 50 million, it's not really that big for a company like Lunar. But simply put, when you hear like billions, let alone multi-billion, 4.8 billion, no wonder why it had the pop that it had, right? But let's more so go over at least level 3 and level 4, what we were just focused on inside our live trading room just a moment ago on the stock. So obviously we had it on our watch list. It was like number 1 on our watch list. Really quick, before I even show this, for all of our students inside our live trading room, maybe a little recap from our class just yesterday. What's the spread on this stock right now live? If you're Kathleen, Leda, Michael, Steve, all of us inside our live trading room, what's the spread on this stock right now as I'm talking? What do we got? Got a 1 cent spread, right? Maybe 1-2 cent spread, but it's like pretty consistent at that. Maybe 2 cents, but otherwise it's a penny, 2 penny spread, and otherwise the order book pretty liquid. Got a bunch of big orders out there on both sides, the bid, the ask. You got icebergs now here at this point, but more from earlier. That's what made this stock tradable. So going into like 8 o'clock, obviously we were looking for higher highs. Now, more or less, it was this price. It was like 830-ish. At first, it was 825-ish. Just CVP area building up pretty nicely here at this point. So I took a small loss on my first attempt. I was private chatting one of our students, Charlene, on that. And I ended up just jumping back in on the reattempt. So it led to a nice pop afterwards. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on you again, right? Because we'll take the same setup more than just once or twice even if we're confident in the level. So that's what led this to make a nice little run here. But we got out. We got out just right around like, 850. I took some money, and then 863 or 861 I got out on the last portion. Pre-market trade. So you want to start the morning off on green. That's one of the first things that Fausto taught me 10 years ago. But otherwise, let me ask our students right now in chat, what else do we have going on today? What's happening at least later on today? We got something happening aside from Fausto's birthday, aside from our Cyber Traders podcast as well. We have the great Larry McMillan joining us at 11 o'clock Eastern time this morning. But we got the Fed meeting. We got the FOMC, the Fed meeting concluding. Obviously, everyone under the sun, Jamie Dimon leading the way, saying that the Fed is going to lower the rates by 25 to 50 basis points. So I think a lot of people are waiting for that to happen. And normally on days like today, things are slow. So could Lunar have like continued to pop? Yeah, absolutely. But I'm trying to be more safe than sorry on a morning like this. So I ended up getting out just a little around 850, a little higher after. I was trying to have some for the run, but I saw a little like support here, support become resistance right here at 863, and led to a big drop. So now going into the open, I'll definitely put this on our watch list here, just on the morning watch list for right now. And then going into the open, we'll see if it ends up making higher low, higher high, or if it ends up just pulling back. Because if this really breaks below this level again coming up here, then I could see it being a short. This could be a short down at like 7, maybe 740-ish. That is on the table. Don't rule that out. So, if it's not going to make a big move up, there definitely is an ability to short this stock if you're able to get the shares. It's hard to borrow from me on TradeStation. You could always request a check, but otherwise it might be shortable for you. If you're on IB, TOS, Quest Trade, Fidelity, whatever it may be. So, all right, needed that sip of water. Now, with that in mind, at least, what we'll do is really just briefly go from top to bottom. We had a couple of great movers, at least from yesterday, but we'll recap them as we go through, namely on the losers list. What goes up comes back down, and we end up finding a couple big runners yesterday make their way in the losers list this morning. So that's not surprising. But PRTG, I had higher hopes for the stock this morning. Going into the 8 o'clock move, it was trending back upward a bit here. Just never really solidified a higher high. Tried right here, pretty weak afterwards, came back down. I'll put it back on our list in hopes for that run up. There obviously had to have been some news that came out on this stock as well. So I'm not going to break out the news on every stock here. But PRTG, what do we got? Explore strategic alternatives, including potential sale, merger, restructuring, or company wind down. That sounds like every possible alternative out there. Like, honestly, what do they got? Sale, merger, restructuring, company wind down, and then probably other things as well, I reckon. But geez, had a huge squeeze up early on this morning. Stock got beat up quite a bit, from 160 all the way down to sub 3. So this is exactly the type of stock that Fausto loves. We just talked about it earlier this week. He brought it up yesterday again. Just bottom fishing. You want to make sure that you find a stock that got beat up. And if it's coming off good news, at least it allows the stock a chance to potentially run up as a day trade. So, it's not a swing trade just yet, but it's a good day trade here, at least to begin. Now, lunar warrants, I guess you got lunar warrants out there too. You got regular equity lunar, then you got the warrants. I'm not too interested in this. Teach their own on the warrants, but the biggest thing that we focus on here at CTU is just tradability, just like order book, good spread, and this doesn't have that. Why trade the warrant when the stock is just pretty inexpensive too? It's an $8 stock still, so it's not like we're talking about like an $80 stock. Even a $35, $40 stock for anyone on a smaller budget, smaller price range. This still fits it, I'd imagine. So there's no need for the warrant when we got this still. NVVE, pretty choppy. I wasn't really too particular about that early on. Again, we got the Fed meeting later on today, so we'll probably just wait and then we'll react off of that. Obviously, NVIDIA, Tesla, Microsoft coming off news. That's been pretty strong, even though more expensive stock. That could still be in play as well coming off the Fed and plenty others. But otherwise, though, APLT had a nice little pop going into the 8 o'clock hour and never ended up materializing. So, uno mas. One more time here on Benzinga Pro. Love the fine folks at Benzinga, but APLT, what do we got? Applied Therapeutics shares trading higher after the FDA communicated that an advisory committee meeting would no longer be required. I have no idea what that's about. Obviously, that's the only headline that we happen to see here. Oh, no, never mind. Hold on. They announced an update on the ongoing NDA review of their drug for classic galactosemia. I'm a trader, folks, not a pharmacist, I'm not a doctor either. So I'm a doctor of trading. But with that said, at least, it's more of like a flattened move here going into the open. So it's more speculative that it could pop. It certainly doesn't look it just yet. So we're more hopeful. We're more speculative that this could make a new run up afterwards. But, if it doesn't, then just move on from it. We're going to put it on our list to begin, see where it can go. Now, for traders dyslexia, like myself, anyone that suffers from traders dyslexia, you got the VVs here, 7 and 8. You got VVOS, VVPR. The OS is, again, pretty flat. I was hopeful for this to try and run. Had a little start, I guess, after 8 o'clock. I didn't really notice it as much until now. But the PR stock, VVPR, this was from yesterday, wasn't it? Yeah, this was the crazy freaking pop and drop trade. We called it off pretty much as soon as it was dumping back down at this point after the 830 pop. Very underwhelming, very disappointing that this didn't make a higher low, higher high after. But what happens when it doesn't? If you never knew, this is what happens after. So I guess it had a little squeeze up from yesterday's close going into the pre-market hours, but now it's back down. History repeats itself here, and there's nothing to it. So VVOS, going back to the OS one, VVOS, it's like, again, 50-50. I could put it on our list. Doesn't look too great, though. And that wraps up the gainer side, at least for now. We'll check back in one more time here for Kathleen, for Brad, for Steve, for all of us here in chat right now. Let me know if anything else is looking good from your side. Just hopping over to the losers list, though, and we'll recap. We'll recap at first, the GLMD. So this was one of the better movers over the past like week, and honestly, since the beginning of September, really. Ended up having a huge pump early on in the morning, but it just continued. Thing just kept going, right? 9:30 market opened up, popped up pretty quick, consolidated over 6, made a higher high. We went over that a little bit more in our class actually yesterday to a degree. And then otherwise, it just kept going, right? Obviously, with these nasty shakes, certainly at this point, if not later on, you expect for the stock to make a lower low. You expect for what goes up comes back down twice as fast. But if it's going to continue with this higher low game, then it allows you the chance for a re-break. So that's what happened. Like almost, it's actually pretty crazy. Let me take a look here because I didn't even do this later on. I did it at 8, I did it at 10, now at 12, at 14. Nah, not as much at 14. It's more at like 16 though. It kind of skipped 14, but the stock almost every $2 essentially, where it's had false breaks over a level and then it re-broke, leading to the higher high. Just played so nicely for a more of a volatile stock, more category 4 or 5 stock. Oh, and really quick for students inside our live trading room right now. Actually, Fausto yesterday had sent out an email to all of us, all of you folks inside the live trading room, all of our members, all of our students, just asking how you did on this stock. So definitely write back to him. I know a number of us already did, but otherwise, this is the lesson learned. And students like Roseanne, students like Dave, students like Steve from yesterday, and plenty of others that did well in the stock, they know already. They learned it in class. What goes up comes back down. What makes the percent gainers list one day makes the percent losers list the next. And we were expecting this essentially, right? So it's right back down to 10, down 31% today. Is it going to pop back up? I mean, you don't want to fall in love with it. So we're done with it for now. C-Bus here. This thing looks pretty low volume, 173,000 shares, but for it to be down 20%, should be trading more shares. Wheeler, TNON. Oh, how about this really quick? I got Rich in the chat here just with me right now. Rich, was there a stock yesterday? I think it was down like 80% at one point yesterday in the afternoon. It was at like 3:30 in the afternoon, I thought. Kind of flew under the radar a little bit. I didn't notice it at all. Yeah, OMEX, that was it. Well, check that one out, actually. That was from yesterday, but that was out of nowhere. That was at 3:30 in the afternoon. And then it just kept kind of dropping off for a bit. So nothing else really from the loser side, down big percentage-wise. CWST, I don't really know this company. All right, so OMEX. Yeah, what the hell happened here, guys? I was like, no wonder why I didn't find it. It broke down below $1. It fell below my price range even. So, yeah, this stock is down so much percentage-wise that, A, you don't want to fall in love with the thought of, having the bounce back up. It might take days, weeks, months for this dead cat bounce to happen. It's down so much, though, percentage-wise, right? So just kind of riding the coattails of the other stocks that we traded from this past week or two. Oh, shit. Well, EGIO might be delisted. That's too funny. This stock, EGIO, was down like 85, 90%, I think, last week. That ended up dead cat bouncing for us really well. I think the freaking thing either delisted or changed their ticker. And then otherwise, Ride was the other one. We actually did exceptionally well on Ride as a dead cat bounce. Out of nowhere, just the stock gap down one morning, tanked all the way down at 70 freaking cents or so. We took it off $1, but it just bounced up pretty nicely up to like 2. So you're not looking for that swing trade. It's simply like a scalp, simply like a day trade type of move. So does it hurt us to put OMEX on our list for that thought? Not at all. Not whatsoever. So, I'll do that. But hey, look at the trend right now. It's lower highs. It's pulling back right now. Don't just jump in, right? How much lower could it go? You certainly know, right? It's at 82 cents right now. It can go down to, 0 pennies, fraction of a penny. So that's where you got to be careful there. All right. So if anything else is looking good just across the board inside our live trading room, let me know. Michael, Lynn, and Randy, Robbie, all of us here in chat. We're saying NVVE is a no. It was just so choppy, here. Chopping. It's up 45%. Now, also the other issue with the stock is just the order book. If this was on better liquidity, I'd probably be more biased to it, more partial, and just like put it on our list there, Chris. You had chatted that what time? At 9:10 in the morning. So about like 5 minutes ago. So it's kind of just still drooping down a little bit here either way. So it's on our side list. We'll put it on our side list. And if it pops shortly after the open, we'll try and call it out. But doesn't look that great just yet, right? And again, if the liquidity was better, I'd probably slip it on there. But for right now, we'll just pass on it to begin. Did I talk about TDOC? I did not. Did not talk about T-Doc. This is going to be on our side list as well, though. So it's not really showing much action, not trading good volume yet in pre-market. I freaking love this setup. Nothing else about it right there. Aside from that, I love the chart level here and the breakout. We had a great game plan yesterday, and it was just very underwhelming. It clearly didn't make that big move. So is the thought still there? Yeah. Is the volume still there? No. So that's where this goes on our side list for sure, not on the main list at least. But very good question though from Tim. Very good question, and I appreciate the reminder. I actually forgot about this for a split second. So all right. And again, on top, we're just still focused on the Fed meeting concluding later on today at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Obviously, for all of us inside our live trading room, we do our morning meeting right here at 9 o'clock Eastern. We do our afternoon meeting at 2:30 Eastern. So shortly after the Fed actually concludes, we'll be on scanning the market, building up our watch list. Actually, at that point, though, at 2:30, always have a little afternoon competition, a little stiff competition at 2:30. Got our guy, main event Jerome Powell, doing his presser, his speaking at 2:30, giving his remarks, likely on them cutting the rates. So we'll see to what extent on that. But either way, obviously, market should be pretty stagnant going into that. So I would just be more cautious. I wouldn't look to trade much at all, unless if it's just a really strong setup, a stock retesting, re-breaking a major resistance. That's what allowed myself at least the chance to jump back in. Like I'd said, on the lunar trade. That's what allowed it the chance to run up at least a little bit from here. Could have done even more on it, but maybe we'll see what happens after the market opens on this. All right. All right. Got to make sure the tongue is untied going into the open here. Otherwise, on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, the works. I appreciate you folks sticking with us here each and every day. And for this morning in particular, happy birthday, Fausto, once more, as we said earlier here. He'll be joining us inside our live trading room just later on this morning, folks. Again, we have our Cyber Traders podcast at 11 o'clock Eastern time this morning as well. The great Larry McMillan joining us. I know we had a great conversation yesterday with our friend Serge Berger, great trader from the Steady Trader. Make sure to check that out on YouTube as well. But otherwise, at Cyber Trading, use the handle. If you're interested in joining us inside our live trading room, just scan that QR code with your phone, with your camera. Join us for a week-long trial. We'll continue the audio broadcast, the audio commentary